Hope everybody's refreshed off the bye week. I know we are. It was a great time for our football team to step away, and we talked about perspective before we left. We had a great bye week. We worked hard. We worked on attention to detail and things we need to get better at because our football team still needs to grow. But I do think sometimes in sports we have a false sense of perspective on what really matters in life, and I encouraged our football players to call the people that helped get them to where they're at, call their mom, dad, aunt, uncle, whoever it is that helped them to get to this position in life, and thank them and talk to them about something other than football. Now that we're back at it, ready to make a run, and what better opportunity than going and facing, arguably, in my opinion, we've played them 4 years straight. I think this is Coach Spack's best team. I think they're extremely well-rounded. I think the quarterback really took a step forward last week against SIU, which was tremendous for those guys. They run with power. They've got really good D-line or offensive line, good push, great skill position players, defensive side of the ball. Any blitz known to man you're going to see. You're going to see 4 and 3 down front, which make them create some havoc. And, again, I think it's going to be a great football game.
So what was this past week's been doing, and just what do you see from that?
Yeah, last week we still did some good things on Tuesday and Wednesday. Still had some periods where we wanted to make sure we got a jump start on Illinois State, and then we also did some depth work in regards to getting our young guys activated and making sure that they still feel a part of the actual team, which they know they are, but it's good to just have the older veteran guys cheering them on and teaching them through some reps. And then we had some fun on Thursday. We got the guys out there. We did some big man punt catching competitions. We did some mat drill work because you always got to find a way to go 1-0 each week, and I think that they competed hard and they did a good job.
So you had Friday off then?
Yes, we did. We cut them loose so Friday morning they had a lift and they were able to go. If they can make it home, great. If they weren't, they found a friend and were able to have a home-cooked meal and kind of relax a little bit and watch some football. And again, sometimes it takes stepping back and having to watch a football game from the couch to realize how important it is to you and how much you love it and how excited we are to get back going.
Just recruiting-wise, that you guys are you guys ramping up, so starting to plan out more scholarships when you go into this next offseason?
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll be able to have some more clarity once we talk to Patrick about kind of how the next 6 months will look and then moving on, so on and so forth, and just in regards to numbers. But really what we've been doing in-house is trying to structure where those scholarships will go in regards to where we need some depth. Normally those numbers won't change a ton, but we got out on the road and recruited. We were out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which was great. See some future Bears and try to find some new ones that we think fit our program.
What do you think? Is it just offensive? You always think offensive line depth, defensive line depth. Is that kind of where most of that goes when you start looking? You should be look at other programs and how they do it. Just kind of yours.
And it's been great having the resources that we have throughout the country, whether it's Power 4 coaches all the way down to really any G5. It's kind of similar, but you see how important the offensive and defensive line fronts are when you go to Montana and you take 3 injuries in the opening game. So I do think that that's where the bulk of the changes will be. And then again, I think that we've done a good job throughout most of the surrounding states, making sure that high school players understand that if you're good enough to come play for us, we want you to come be a Bear, and then plug and play with the portal as needed.
So what have you been kind of told about numbers going forward? Different administrations setting out different plans for sure, but just kind of what do you think that trends towards for next year?
Yeah, I wish we had more clarity. With the House settlement still being up in the air, I mean, everybody really has palms up. It's like no one really has a true answer on what that could look like, whether it will be, the 105 for 105 was discussed in regards to scholarships and roster spots, period. And then, obviously the 85 to unlimited roster. I mean, it's just, I think all those things are still up in the air.
Can you talk about being ranked in the top 25?
Yeah, we got to find a way to go 1-0 this week. I think it's really good for our program. And I think once you establish that you can win where you're at, be where your feet are is what we talk about all the time. I think our players have began to carry themselves a little differently. You win a few back-to-back and you learn how to win and you learn what it takes throughout our process, that it does work. What the coaching staff and what the veteran players are telling you, if you stick to it, you can see success. And again, it's good to be on the polls, but we still got a lot of work to do.
Coach, were you surprised to see yourselves make your debut coming off a week where you didn't play, didn't put a game or any film out there?
Yeah, how about that? You get to sit on the couch and get bumped in the polls. No, but on a serious note, I like our football team. I've liked us from the start. We work extremely hard. We love football. I think that's one thing you saw in the bye week, and I wish you guys made it come out to practice, but you saw guys flying around and still enjoying being out there doing football-specific movements. Nobody was complaining about, oh, we got to practice on a bye week. It was how much better can we get this week to get ourselves prepped going into Illinois State.
Coach, I remember last year this had to be one of the most frustrating losses of your career, the way it ended. I mean, how much are you looking forward to getting back out there against this team?
Yeah, it's there's some funny history there with the commercial with the ice game that we were supposed to play here like 5 years ago, where we couldn't get all the ice off the field, and a bunch of that good stuff. And the referees last year made the decision they make, and it's our job to not make it that kind of ball game. There were positions that we put ourselves in the last 3 drives. If you guys remember the game right, we had a dropped interception. We couldn't convert on a 3rd down, and bad things happen. You have to make sure you seal up those wins against top-notch teams, and Coach Spack's done a great job. I have a ton of respect for him. He's been doing it for a long time in the Valley. It's going to be a battle.
Coach, you talk about going on a run. Some would say, right, this is where your team is going to be judged the most on this tough stretch of the schedule. But as cliche as it is, why is it so important to focus on going 1-0 each week?
Yeah, I don't think, again, the sheets I have up here with the rankings and all of that, I think the best thing we've done this year is kept it about us. We've kept it about finding different ways each week to win and finding ways to grow, because we still haven't put 4 quarters of just elite football together. There's been, every single time we've come out of games, we've talked about we can get better at A, B, and C. I think as we continue to grow, and keep continuing to put good games together, the rest, the rankings and all that will take care of itself.
Coach, did you watch any of the Illinois State, Southern Illinois game?
I tried not to watch a ton of that until the replay. I watched when everybody went to bed. I kind of sat down and watched it, and but I was in tune to the Arkansas game.
Fair enough.
Brian, the bye weeks are called get healthy weeks. How about getting healthy? Do you feel like the bye weeks served you well there?
Yeah, we needed it tremendously, as you know. I think it was you couldn't have picked a better time to have a bye week going into this tough stretch of conference play. Feel good about our offensive line health. And really, they just needed some time to take a deep breath and rest their legs. Again, we're not really a team that just plays 7-on-7 during practice. We still hit. We're still, we've still got work to do trying to develop some semblance of the run game and being able to stop the run on defense, because that was one thing you saw show back up. The week against UT Martin, we felt great about it. And then, we had a few loose runs against Youngstown State, and credit to them. They did a nice job. They stayed in the huddle every single down until 3 or 4 seconds left, tried to control the ball. That was part of their plan, keep our offense off the field. But I feel good going into this week.
Did Spack ever apologize to Bobby for calling out Missouri State after canceling that ice game,
That's a good question. You're down at the Arkansas game. Maybe that's the next thing you need to ask Bobby if he doesn't mind talking about it. But, I'm not privy to those kinds of information.
I'm giving you crap. But just piggybacking off the rankings, you guys are eligible for that because you guys didn't move the scholarships this year. And then I look at Delaware, who's moving with you guys, and they're not eligible because they moved up.
Sure.
They moved up in scholarships. Is that something you wanted? Is that something that you would have liked to see? Because that could have helped a little bit going into this year, just in that transition.
Yeah, I think the way the administration had built up our move, that was just part of the process. There really was no choice, and I don't mind that. I think that's okay. I think that the one thing we have done a good job of is showing this current team the respect and dignity they deserve, and giving every single thing we have week in and week out to the guys currently on the roster and the guys that have stayed here when they easily could have gone other places and seen it through. And I'm excited to finish strong for those guys.
That financial thing, then? Just kind of when going throughout all that, just trying to figure that out?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.